All right, now to give us more perspective on this, we're being joined by Ms. Ruthie Blum, who's a former advisor at the office of Prime Minister Netanyahu. She's also an author and an award-winning columnist, and she's joining us live from Tel Aviv. Now, Ms. Blum, thank you very much indeed for taking time out and speaking to us here in WION. Now, what we are looking at are, again, another round of potential negotiations where the United States and Qatar and Egypt have said that there is an agreement framework and it is now up to Israel and Hamas to come together and to sign this agreement and implement a ceasefire deal along with the release of hostages. Do you think at this moment the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is willing to sign a ceasefire deal and also to secure the release of the hostages?
Okay, first of all, before I start, I'd like to thank you for having me again. Second, I'd like to make one correction to your description of Gaza, which you called occupied Palestinian territory. Israel withdrew from the Gaza Strip in 2005, evacuating every last Jew from there. It is not occupied territory.
So that's just... let me just interject there. I get the point that you're making, but this is something that a lot of experts have commented because Israel controls everything about Gaza. It is still described as occupied Palestinian territory. This is how it is internationally described. But that aside, the question that I want to ask you is this. Can Netanyahu at this moment go ahead and agree to a ceasefire settlement and also secure the release of the hostages? The reason why I ask this question is there are a number of military leaders within the state of Israel who are saying that Netanyahu is the one who has stayed away from agreeing to a ceasefire deal.
Okay, so first of all, of course he can. Second of all, not all the security chiefs in Israel say that. In fact,
it has
very
been reported
recently
in the Israeli media.
I am aware that it's been reported, and I know there are certain security chiefs who said that. What has not been reported sufficiently is that the chief negotiator, security chief, who's been going to the negotiations, said that he has to admit that this is not Netanyahu's fault, that there's no deal. Second of all, Netanyahu would be the first to sign such a deal, if it involved a return of all the hostages, which Hamas has refused to do. And second, if Israel retains the right to defeat Hamas or to go back in and proceed with the war to defeat the terrorists. Now, this is the main sticking point, that it's not just Netanyahu. The majority of Israelis cannot agree to this because A, it would just endanger the rest of us, and B, it would endanger half of the hostages that remain in Gaza.
Right. My next quick question to you is, a lot of political analysts are saying that Netanyahu has tried to extend this war by as much as possible because the minute this war ends, that would also mean that Netanyahu may end up losing his job and could be prosecuted for charges of corruption that he faces. Is that an assessment that you agree with?
Oh, totally. I disagree with that assessment totally. Number one, Netanyahu has been on trial for 3 years. This war has nothing to do with that trial, nor would the end of the war have anything to do with that trial. That's number one. Number two, Netanyahu, if he really wanted to preserve his seat, as everyone's saying, and if he really wanted to become the darling of the media, all he would have to do is capitulate to Hamas, end the war, have all the opposition parties then praise him, join the government, and then he certainly would not lose his seat. In fact, his remaining firm on these sticking points makes him very unpopular with the press and with the oppositionists.
All right. All right. We're out of time. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Ms. Ruthie Blum, and getting us your perspective there.
And thank you for having me.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.